I'm Ariana Grande.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Erivo.
And you're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Visit bpm.fm to discover more.
Hey friend, it's Susan Blackwell from The Spark File, your one-stop shop for creativity where our doors are open and we are cooking up some creative shenanigans, like our free creativity workshop, Finding Your Creative Community, happening Saturday, February 28th, live on Zoom. Here's a spark for you. Did you know that studies have proven that participating in healthy creative communities can lead to increased mental engagement and living a longer, more fulfilling life? Around the Spark File, we've always said smart creatives don't go it alone. Having the right group of people around us can supercharge us and provide a reason to show up for ourselves and our creativity. In this fun, free workshop, we'll explore how best to identify and participate in a healthy creative community, so you can replace creative isolation with accountability, encouragement, and inspiration. Join us for our Finding Your Creative Community workshop happening Saturday, February 28th, live on Zoom. It is free. You just have to register now at thesparkfile.com.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But here's a big one you need to hear. Billions. That's the amount of money in refunds the IRS has flagged for possible identity fraud. Now here's another big number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. One last big number. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit lifelock.com/podcast for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.
The Sparkfile podcast may contain profanity and other adult content.
Please use your discretion.
When I bump into something that inspires me, I dump it in my spark file. Could be something that I want to make or how I want to be. I pump it in my spark file. I jump into my spark file. Let's open up the spark file.
Welcome to the Spark File, where we believe that everyone is creative, but smart creative people don't go it alone.
I'm Laura Camion.
And I'm Susan Blackwell, and we are creativity coaches who help people clarify and accomplish their creative goals.
You ought to know that just by listening to this podcast, you are joining a warm and wonderful clan of creatives.
But you might also be asking yourself, what exactly is a Spark File?
Hey, a Spark File is a place where you consistently collect all of your inspirations and fascinations. Every episode, we're going to reach into our Spark Files and exchange some sparks. And from time to time, we're going to talk to some folks who spark us too.
And your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to take some of those sparks of inspiration and make something of your own. So without further ado, let's open up the Spark File. Hi, Laura Camion.
Hello, Susan Blackwell. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too. How are you doing over there?
I'm doing well. Even better now, looking at your face.
What?
Yeah, I know. Cheese ball.
Likewise, I'm sure.
Thank you. You want to know something?
What?
There's something really wonderful about having lots of creative friends, because when you get gifted things, that they have made.
Yes.
And I was just snacking on the most delicious gingerbread made by Ebony Vines.
Huh?
Yes, it's so good.
Sparkfile community member Ebony Vines made you gingerbread? Homemade gingerbread?
Homemade gingerbread from Ebony Vines. Now, Ebony has made various types of bread that last about 45 seconds here in this apartment. I'm like, that was good. What's next? It was so good. So good.
Oh.
So I just had a little snack.
Speaking of the Sparkfile community and gingerbread, I don't know if you have seen it. By the time this podcast airs, this is going to be yieldy news to people who are in the Sparkfile community. We have a daily post called Gains, Aims, and I throw in a little bonus gratitude. So it's basically today's gains. We reflect back on the day. Then you list your tomorrow's aims, things that you want to accomplish the following day. And then I throw in bonus gratitude because I like to do that.
Yeah.
But Catherine Gwynn, who is a member of the Spark File community and an amazing baker, baked karate chop cookies that look like
Yes.
gingerbread men that are in karate, like hiya karate poses that she then piped. And she said it was
Oh
like
my
the most intricate
God.
piping she's ever done. And she's a very, very seasoned baker and maker.
Yes, indeed.
But she piped them so beautifully. It looked like something in a magazine. And she made them for her son and husband's holiday party at the karate studio where they take lessons.
That is awesome.
They are gingerbread plus plus plus. They are so fun.
Wow. They're like gingerbread men with black belts.
That's exactly, and they do have black belts.
Oh, wow. That's some dangerous gingerbread man. Don't mess with him.
They're so cute.
Cat in the kitchen.
Cat in the kitchen.
So good.
This is actually a really, really good seg for the spark I want to spark you with today, Laura Camian, because my spark for you today is all about community.
I love this topic already.
When I set about to write the spark, very, very sparked by the spark, and I was like, easy peasy. But the topic of community is like an onion, and
it's huge.
it just keeps peeling and peeling and peeling. And I could approach it in so many ways. There are so many layers to it. But so maybe this is part one.
I'm here for it.
As you may already know, back in 2023, the Surgeon General of the United States, Vivek Murthy, issued an 82-page paper entitled Our Epidemic of Loneliness and Isolation, the U.S. Surgeon General's Advisory on the Healing Effects of Social Connection and Community.
Wow.
Yeah, 82 pages. And I have that PDF up and I'm working through it. It's very, very interesting. It's got some good infographics. Great work, Office of the Surgeon General. So in the paper, Murthy shared that about 1 in 2 adults, that's 50%, in America reported experiencing loneliness. And this is based on research before COVID. So before the pandemic cut off so many of us from friends and loved ones and support systems, which of course exacerbated loneliness and isolation. So I'm not sure where those numbers are now, but Murthy continues, loneliness is far more than just a bad feeling. It harms both individual and societal health. It is associated with a greater risk of cardiovascular disease, dementia, stroke, depression, anxiety, and premature death. The mortality impact of being socially disconnected is similar to that caused by smoking up to 15 cigarettes a day, and even greater than that associated with obesity and physical inactivity.
This is loneliness.
Loneliness and isolation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But I have to say, these words ring true to me. And I love that they have the research to back this up. And also just anecdotally and in my body, I'm like, yeah, that sounds right. That sounds right. So there are a couple reasons that I want to talk about this on a creativity podcast. Some forms of creativity have community built into them. For instance, theater, filmmaking, but those communities can end when that show or that shoot ends. And that's a special kind of heartbreak that many of us have experienced.
Yeah.
Some forms of creativity have isolation built into them. So we're looking at our writers, our painters, our Andy Berkeys, our solo craftspeople who are out there making their work.
Yes. Oh, Andy Berkey, hi.
Additionally, creatives are special people. I think to really thrive, creatives require communities that understand them and know how to support them.
Yeah.
I've talked about this with you personally, Laura. I don't know if I've ever talked about it on the podcast. I honestly can't remember anymore, but I think about how lonely I was when I was growing up. I've actually been thinking a lot about this lately.
Oh,
It took
wow.
me a really long time to begin discovering and connecting with like hearted people who understood my passions and who could talk about
Mm.
creativity and art in an informed, nuanced way.
Wow.
That shit is real.
That is real.
And I know that I'm not alone. If you don't live
Mm-mm.
in, you know,
Mm-mm.
Los Angeles or New York or Chicago or any sort of community that has a cultural heartbeat, you can feel really, really isolated and not completely understood.
100%.
Did you feel that way when you were uh, growing up in Kansas?
Oh, Suze, I had a different kind of loneliness, I think, because well documented on this podcast. I had like out of survival mode, I had developed like a persona that was always happy, and I
Yes,
was
yes.
always surrounded by people who were just like, "Oh, you, what problems do you have?
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't possibly have any." And I had the different but still very lonely feeling of like being in a crowd and just being completely alone. Like, and
Mm.
if I had revealed my actual self to people, that they wouldn't like me.
Mm.
So I had to, maintain this person that they did like.
In order to stay safe and part of the tribe and
Correct.
uh-huh.
Correct. Yeah.
Got it. That makes so much sense to me. I know that we have commiserated with so many people about the ache and the longing that they experience when their families, their parents, their siblings, their neighbors, their work colleagues don't fully understand their
Yeah.
creativity. They don't understand what they make. They don't understand what drives them or how to talk about
Oh my
creativity and
God.
art in informed, nuanced ways. Even well meaning, supportive family and friends and colleagues can stumble. In the theater, there's a cliche. If you have a non-creative person in your life and they come and you leave it all on the dance floor and they're like, wow, how did you learn all those lines? And that's their total response.
Oh, that's the extent of the
Yeah.
depth of the
Yeah.
conversation. I was just having this conversation with a friend the other day, Susan, and they were, they were like, I know my family loves me, but we don't really talk about anything that I do
Oh,
or how I
yes.
do it. And that's exactly the thing that struck
Yeah.
me, is how often people, they don't know what they don't know, and it maybe makes them uncomfortable because they don't even know what to ask or how to get into it.
Yeah.
Like if I was talking to I don't know, a rocket scientist or something, I'd be like, "Well, those go real high in the air, don't they?"
They go so fast too.
Wow, how'd you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but there's a disconnect there, instead of like the ability to just say, I don't know anything about what you do. I find it fascinating.
Yes.
And what questions might actually engage a real conversation.
I think that curiosity that you're describing, even though you may not be an expert in the field of the person you're talking with, goes so far. That curiosity, but some people don't even know how to be curious. They don't have
I
it.
don't have it. But if I may, a go-to would simply be like, tell me what you love about being a rocket scientist.
Yes. Tell me what you love about what you do.
Tell me what gets you out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me, how did you know that was going to be your life's purpose?
I think that Brad Montague has talked about when he was sat at a dinner party next to Sonia Sotomayor from
Oh.
of Supreme Court fame. And what she asked him was, tell me what you love about what you do. And he was like, what a great, curious question.
It works in any situation.
Always in style. So, back to community. I also wanted to talk about community on a creativity podcast because we define creativity at the Spark File as applied imagination that fights for the powers of good. And in my book, community feels like one of the most important things that we could flow our creative attention into. Who better than creatives to build community? We've got lots of good ideas. We've got lots of problem solving skills. And I'm just like, give us this challenge of creating community.
Yes, because also it's a group of empaths, a group of highly sensitive people, a group of people who not only can imagine walking in someone else's shoes, but want to know more about it. They're curious
It's true.
and not afraid of differences.
Yeah.
In fact, embrace like how exciting if someone enters the group that is different and has a different perspective or different life experience. How fascinating. Please tell us more.
Yeah. So I was like, well, if community is so good for us, what is the problem? Why not just be in strong communities?
Yeah.
But as we all know, it turns out Vivek Murthy was right to send up the bat signal because there are so many barriers to community. There are so many factors that inform community, macro and micro, a few of which include, like, if you have a chronic disease or impairments or any challenges to your mental and physical health, that can make cultivating community more challenging.
100%.
There's all sorts of things baked into our lived experience: race, gender, life stage, socioeconomic status, personality, household size. Then there are things like available community space, available transportation, societal norms and values, levels of civic engagement, historical inequities, public policies. And I don't think it's conspiracy theory at this point that capitalists are motivated to keep us separated, to keep us staring at screens.
Oh, yeah.
So there's so many potential barriers to cultivating community, which I just want to acknowledge that, because the struggle is real. But I still say it really behooves us to cultivate community for our own health, for our well-being, so that we are supported, and also so we can provide support to others. It's so good for us. It can be challenging, but it can also be so fun and so satisfying.
And as you pointed out, like truly a benefit to our physical health.
Truly, physical health, mental health.
This is reminding me, Susan, of the spark that I did about Robert Putnam's book, Bowling Alone.
Laura, yes.
Yeah.
As I was writing this, I totally checked in with it. That I believe that episode, I didn't go back and look, but I think it's called Join the Joiners.
Oh, it is Join the Joiners. Yes.
So much of what I was reading in this 82-page paper that Vivek Murthy and his team put together is about where we have come from historically and what factors have sort of deteriorated community. And I thought so much about your spark, Join the Joiners, and how historically people were more inclined to be in community with each other, and it's only gotten harder.
So many ways. And he saw the pattern happening, but from 4-H clubs to the Optimists, the Rotary clubs, quilting clubs, card games, everything over time deteriorated really in the back half of the 20th century.
Speaking of technology, I did see this TikTok that I was really intrigued by on this topic. It was made by a creator named Rachel Lovely.
Well, I want that last name. What a wonderful name, Rachel Lovely.
I don't know if it's her real last name, but it is a lovely last name.
Well, she chose it. She chose wisely.
I realized that I just made kind of a leap when I said speaking of technology, because in my mind, all of this is mixed up together. The way technology has, in some ways, connected us, in some ways divided us. So I realized when I said that, I was like, boy, that sounded like such a weird seg. But in my mind, this is all intertwined with each other.
I was tracking.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So Rachel Lovely on TikTok was talking about this new to me concept that was circulating the web maybe like mid last year, this concept of everyone wants to have a village, but no one wants to be a villager.
Wow.
Everyone wants to have a village, but no one wants to be a villager.
Wow.
And I started digging into what this meant to people. According to another social media account, Francesca Psychology, it means that people want a strong community for support, but they're not willing to put in the effort and sacrifice required to be a part of it. Inconvenience, being annoyed, etc., is the price we pay for connection and community.
Oh.
It can mean sharing space when it's inconvenient, showing up when you'd rather not. I think that's huge.
It's huge.
Hosting when you're tired. Francesca goes on to say, somewhere along the way, our fear of discomfort, our intolerance of inconvenience have turned into hyper independence.
Oh, God.
Strict boundaries, perfect routines, and no interruptions. And I know this feeling. Like
God, yes.
we work so hard. We work and we work and we work and we grind and we grind and we grind. And then I'm just like, I don't want to schedule additional, like, I don't want
Things,
social
yeah.
commitments or things on my calendar.
And yet, like when I think about some of the most like there's a mug that a friend gave me that was like, I wish you lived next door.
Oh,
And I've always wanted to like give that to you too, Susan.
I love that.
You know, and there's a few other friends. And I thought about it because deep thoughts over a coffee mug. But because some of the happiest times in my life and times when it felt like community was built naturally, it's like in a dorm, in a situation where if you're like me and you're like always on site working on Blue Man and we're all in the same hotel for 3 months at a time, and you're like, I'm in room such and such and your room, like we're right there
in proximity.
And so like I'm going to run over in my pajamas and I will be, if you're crying, I will be there. Tell me what happened. And those things just don't happen so much anymore.
One of the things that I have on my list of things I would like to do before I'm gone is I would like to create essentially like a neighborhood, to live in close proximity to people that I care about.
Yes. Let's walk over with some gingerbread.
Yeah. Yes to that coffee mug. I don't know where they got that coffee mug, but yes to that. So Rachel Lovely, in this like very brief, but I thought very potent TikTok, shared everything that she learned about being a villager from a great community builder, her mother.
Oh.
And according to Rachel Lovely, her mom doesn't just build villages, she builds bustling metropolises. She's building 7-lane highways. But what does that look like? Apparently, Rachel's mom, who I will refer to as Mrs. Lovely, will pick up your adult child from the airport and drop the child off at your home because Mrs. Lovely knows it will genuinely make your life easier. But underline, she's not keeping score. She just genuinely cares about making somebody else's life easier.
When you make a friend who doesn't keep score, you keep that friend.
Keep that friend. Yeah.
That's such a gift. Like, no. Not doing this for reciprocation. Doing this because I want to do this. And I know it is something that could be useful to you. It's such a gift.
Yeah, I agree.
Wow, Mrs. Lovely is living up to her name.
Is lovely. According to Rachel, Mrs. Lovely never assumes that someone is trying to take advantage of her, and she doesn't develop conspiracy theories about the people in her life. In the Spark File, we would call this assuming the best of yourself and others. And
That's right.
As I believe we've talked about on the podcast, it's actually in the Spark File community guidelines. Assume the best of yourself and others. Mrs. Lovely assumes it will all even out eventually and that others would do the same for her.
Yes. And I bet you they do when she needs it. I bet people line up to be like, how can I help?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we're going to hear about it.
So a element of this that was super interesting to me. Rachel Lovely shares that once you've built an amazing village for yourself, you may not need Uber, Instacart, Amazon, or you may need them much less. Rachel was
Wow.
talking about, she's an adult. When she goes, I'm talking like she's my parasocial friend. I know her. But she's talking about how when she goes home for the holidays, there's a steady stream of people ringing the doorbell to drop off things that they are lending, a crock pot for the holiday party, the brown sugar that you need for something that you're making. But it totally makes sense. If you rely more on borrowing and lending, it cuts way down on buying shit that you're only going to use once a year. It's an exchange of goods instead of a purchase of goods.
Do you remember, like, when I was growing up, we actually could go to the neighbors and say, I started making cookies and I don't have enough eggs.
Girl, yes.
Right?
And also, like, we're still doing this now. I mean, have I mentioned, I live rural, and my husband is actually great at this. My husband is always like lending a tractor, borrowing a chainsaw.
Oh, wow.
He's a good villager.
I'm impressed by that because here in the city, I have to say, I have friends, and acquaintances and stuff
Yeah.
around the area. But here in my building,
Yeah.
I don't think there's a single door that I would knock on to be like, do you have 2 eggs I could borrow?
It's worth thinking about. It's just worth thinking about.
I love it. No, I really love it. It's very inspiring.
I've been very inspired by Nathan. He pitches in, like he puts in the reps. If you need help stacking wood or moving furniture or building a deck or building a website, my husband really does show up.
That Nathan.
But it's not a one-way street. Like he asks for help too, which is an important part of this equation. A few months back, it was a Friday. I remember clearly it was a Friday because I was trying to get to the doctor's on a Friday morning, and in a storm, a tree had fallen across our driveway.
Oh my gosh.
Nathan was not at home, so I could not get out. And I tried to figure out how I could on my own move the tree.
With what, like with a tractor, or what were you thinking you would move the tree with?
It wasn't a huge tree. And I was like, could I lift it? But the closer I got to it, I was like, this tree's bigger than it looks. I drove the car back up to the house, and without asking for help, one of our neighbors saw what had happened. And before I knew it, I had received a video of the neighbor getting out of his car to move the tree from my driveway. Clearly he was stronger and more expert at tree removal.
I was going to say, how did he move it?
He picked it up by the tip and basically levered it. So he just like picked it up and wasn't holding the full weight of it.
Yeah.
But moved it out of the way of the driveway.
Wow.
I knew instantly the reason why that tree got moved without even having to ask is because of all the pitching in that Nathan had done.
He's such a beautiful soul. I love
He's
that
really
guy.
He's something. So Rachel Lovely says the first step in creating an effective village is realizing that you actually need other people. Again, the hyper independence and always trying to figure it out all by yourself. I'm as I'm reading those words, I'm very seen. I'm very called in. But that hyper independence is detrimental to creating community.
Yeah.
And Rachel Lovely feels that one of the key steps in creating community is asking for assistance. And she describes it as sitting humbly at the feet of the village and asking for the help you need.
Wow.
It's not always about being the one who provides the ride from the airport or being the one who provides the brown sugar. It's also about humbly asking for help from others. This is so rough for me. And you know this from working with me. I'm just like,
yes,
I would rather do it than be like, can somebody do this?
But it is vulnerable to ask for help.
Yes.
I think that when we say to ourselves, like, I want to be a part of this community, but I also want to be someone who doesn't need anything from anyone, because I don't want to need some, but I'm happy to contribute. but I'm not going to need anything. It's a form of making sure that we don't show up in a vulnerable way.
I think it's further complicated though when the people in the village, when if I'm looking at you or I'm looking in the face of our beautiful team captain Kevin Weibold, and I'm like, these folks are as stretched thin as I am. Or if I look at Nathan and I'm like, I could just tell, I'm like, he's already like up to his eyeballs. Then I feel like it's doubly challenging to be like,
To ask
can
someone
you pause what you're doing and help me? So that's something I need to
doesn't
work
feel
on.
good. It doesn't feel good. I try to remember that too when I'm on the receiving end of a request for help, because there are certain friends of mine that I know it's particularly hard for. So for them to have gotten to the place where they are saying,
Yeah.
I could use it if you would check in on me.
Yes.
And I'm like, that took a lot to ask.
That's a
Mhm.
great point, Laura Camion. And even when you said that, I was like, God, I don't know how I would bring myself to say those words. And I'm like, Susan, you got to strengthen this muscle. Got to strengthen that muscle, girl. So Rachel also talked about one of the reasons that Rachel was having the experience of such a strong village is because in addition to having her mother's villager blood running through her, this is germane to what we're talking about. When she is going through tough times, like a breakup or a layoff or whatever, those are the times when you have to call upon the village to ask for help and receive help. And for me, sometimes the amnesia that I experience, I know that when I am growing through it, I will completely have amnesia that it's even an option to ask for help. I withdraw into myself. And
Mm.
I was just thinking, wow, it's really to ask yourself to build community when you're struggling is one of those things. It's like build it when you feel fit because you're
Yeah.
going to want to call upon it when you're in the struggle. So
Yeah. That's very, very wise advice.
I think one of the biggest challenges that Rachel Lovely talked about when it comes to cultivating community is you have to show up and be in the mix to be a part of the village.
Mm.
The village is not happening in isolation. You have to be willing to show up and be in the mix. Laura, you recently did a spark on The Alchemist and
Mm-hmm.
you said almost identical words like you have to
Oh,
show up for
life.
your life to
Yes,
live.
life attracts life.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So, what are some steps we can take to consciously build healthy community? I just want to share just a few ideas that
Okay.
sparked me. There is an anti capitalist creator that I loved named Laura Oldani. And Laura talks about building community by hosting simple pop up gatherings in your front yard. If you're in a place
Oh.
where you have a front yard.
Yeah.
But I've also heard people talk about
on the stoop.
nearby public park.
Mm-hmm.
She puts out some snacks and a sign like that there's going to be coffee time on Sunday between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. Neighborhood coffee time.
Wow.
A few tables, some snacks, asks people to bring their own chairs and mugs, and even started setting up a swap table where people could bring items that they no longer needed. And if they wanted, they could drop off items. They could take items for free.
This is amazing.
I just thought that was so lovely. And I immediately was like, how could I do this even in my super duper remote rural environment?
Wow.
Could I do it at the public library?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's another creator named JohnJohn.jpg, JohnJohn.jpg, I think, who hosts something called Popsicles on the Porch for people in his neighborhood in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Oh my
He said it was really
God.
tough because he's an introvert, but he wanted this for his family. He's got kids and he wanted to be able to cultivate, community for
Mhm.
his kids. So he put up a sign and handed out some flyers for a Thursday evening, popsicles on the porch, no need to make an elaborate meal, no need to even clean the living room. People would wander by, or, they were walking their dogs or they'd be on their bikes, and they could have a popsicle, they could have a glass of water, they could chat, they could connect. The kids could draw on the sidewalk with chalk.
Love that.
And I was just like, what a great idea. And I love that he acknowledged the challenge of, like, I am also an introvert, and I'm just like, oh God, the thought of this is daunting, but like, how easy could it be?
How easy could it be?
Yeah.
And that is genius right there.
Yeah.
For me, I'm like, okay, yes, hosting something has its intimidation factor.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, getting me to leave the house to go to something, even something I want to go to that I have planned all week to go to when the moment comes, it is still a 50-50 shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when you host it, you're like, well, I'm not going anywhere. It has to happen. I'm just here. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. We've done whole pieces of curriculum on consciously finding, building, cultivating creative community. And we really encourage people to examine what they're seeking.
That's right.
And then go for it. We have done, Laura, I feel like you and I have done years of research so we could articulate for ourselves what is meaningful when it comes to community.
Yeah.
And we have really discovered and clarified what we are seeking, namely emotionally intelligent creatives of all kinds who are ready to cultivate a consistent creative practice and expand their network so we can stay inspired, make huge creative strides, and enjoy the most creative years of our lives. Like, we really took time to study on that and articulate it.
Yes, we did. And to develop the kind of agreement that if you would like to be a part of this community, what agreement are we making to each other, and how we promise to behave towards each other? Because I think that's really essential. And for people to understand, like, this is or isn't going to be a group where we bond over talking about someone else.
Yes.
At the Spark File, that is not how we bond. We bond in so many other positive ways, but it is very clear from the start, we're not going to be bonding by tearing someone down.
Yeah.
That is a way to bond, but not here.
Yeah. I'm really proud that we have gone so far as to create the Spark File creative community. You don't even have to leave your house, but it's still so rich. It's so fun. It's nutritious, but it is also delicious. And it is an online community made up of fantastic artists from all different disciplines. So there's zero competition, and they're from all over the place. So you really do expand your world. And in addition to a very healthy online social platform where there's no algorithms, there's no bots, there's no bullcrap, we have these live on Zoom creativity meetups.
Yeah.
Do you want to work out loud? Do you want to work in a quiet library-like atmosphere where you're benefiting from the body doubling, where you're working separately but in the same space? And it's just this beautiful, ever-growing, ever-evolving community that is also responsive to the needs of the community. So noticing what do people need? What do they really want? And being able to say, give me a few days. Let me see if we can put that in place. So if that sounds interesting to you, and if you want to learn more about it, you can visit thesparkfile.com/community. And if you're an emotionally intelligent creative who wants to cultivate a consistent creative practice and expand your network and stay inspired and make huge creative strides and live the most creative years of your lives, this might be a community for you.
It just might.
Yeah.
If you like all those things.
We do. Laura, is there anything else you would add about the Sparkfile creative community?
We mentioned this in the podcast episode called The Alchemist. It's a group of people who are curious and are alive with possibility.
It's true.
And recognize in each other the vulnerability, necessary to create.
Yeah.
So we are constantly celebrating each other in a way that is like, yes, I saw you overcome that vulnerability. I saw you overcome that fear. I saw you feel the feelings of failure and work through it and keep going. And I don't know of any other group like it, honestly. And to me, I can't think of any other way I want to live.
Yeah. And they can really have those nuanced conversations about
That's right.
creativity and art. And you know what else I was thinking this morning? I know that some artists really like their bread and butter is being cool. These artists, their bread and butter is being kind.
Oh my God. Kind. And also, sorry, but it took me a while in my life to learn this, but being authentic is the coolest thing you can be in this
Yeah.
world. And
Yeah.
this group of people is the fucking coolest. The fucking coolest. They're everybody's goal. And we've said this before, for anybody who's like, oh, they're here because, they know Susan's work or they know my work or something. This is so not about becoming more of, your mentor or being more like someone. This is all about becoming more of who you are.
Yes.
That's what it's all about. That's what I'd add. I love this spark, Susan.
Let me close this spark with Vivek Murthy. He wrote in his 82-page paper on our epidemic of loneliness, each of us can start now in our own lives by strengthening our connections and relationships. Our individual relationships are an untapped resource, a source of healing hiding in plain sight. They can help us live healthier, more productive, and more fulfilled lives. Answer that phone call from a friend. Make time to share a meal. Listen without the distraction of your phone. Perform an act of service. Express yourself authentically. The keys to human connection are simple, but extraordinarily powerful. So that is my spark. It's all about community, baby.
Thank you.
And I'm telling you, 2026, I've got some, I'm not doing, what do they call them? Resolutions.
Yeah.
I'm doing priorities.
Nice.
I just made that up, but it really is. I have some really key priorities, and community, cultivating community.
Number one.
It's up there, man. It's so important. It's so important.
I love this, Susan.
I think I've made it clear how I feel about it. All right, that's it. This episode of The Spark File was made on the lands of the Lenape and the Mohican people. And as always, we hope it put another bunch of sparks in your file. Listen to me. If there's a spark that you would like us to explore, or if you'd like to learn more about how to coach with us to accomplish your creative goals, you can email getcreative@thesparkfile.com or reach us through our website, thesparkfile.com.
We will even happily take your feedback, but there is a price of admission. First, you have to share a creative risk that you've taken recently.
You can follow us on social @thesparkfile and be sure to subscribe, rate, and 5-star review this podcast. It really helps other listeners to find us. Also, if you liked this podcast, we hope you'll share it with people that you love. And if you didn't like it, choose a different community. Just that simple.
It's just that simple. And if something lights you up and gets your creative sparks flying, we're writing you a forever permission slip to make that thing that's been knocking at your door. It's your turn to take that spark and fan it into a flame.
You got to take it
and make it.
When I bump into something that inspires me, I dump it in my spark file. Could be something that I want to make or how I want to be. I pump it in my spark file. I jump into my spark file. Let's open up the spark file.
Hey everybody, this is Jeffrey Scott Parsons. I have just realized that I don't like the sound of my own voice, which is hilarious because I've started a podcast. Here's the deal. When we are younger, let's say 8 to 10 years old, we find filters through which we relate and understand the world. They're usually artistic in nature. Sometimes we find books, music. A lot of people find movies. For me, I found musical theater. Musical theater was my little Instagram filter through which I began to relate to the world. And that meant that the reason I knew about FDR and the New Deal in school was because of Annie. And the reason I could name all 12 tribes of Israel at church was because of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And if I'm being totally honest, a few years later, as I got older, the way that I was able to process the death of my close family members was by watching Ragtime. That's why I wanted to create a podcast, was to have conversations about musical theater that felt more profound than the razzmatazz that we usually use to get people to buy tickets. Because let's be honest, I don't care if you think that musical theater is cool. Cool is overrated. I live in Los Angeles, so I know that cool is very overrated. But I do know that musical theater is important. And those are the conversations that I want to be having on this podcast. Here's how it's going to work. Every week, we're going to pick a show. And for that show, I'm going to have a guest. And we're going to have a conversation about that show, about that musical. So what are the musicals we're going to cover? These musicals can be hits. Maybe they're not. There's no shortage of musicals. Let's say, okay, the first musical to win the Tony Award for Best Musical was in 1949, Kiss Me Kate, right? So now we're in 2019. So if we just did the Best Musical winners, and that's not even including the musicals that didn't win Best Musical, like Beauty and the Beast, or West Side Story, or Wicked, or what else? Funny Girl, Gypsy. I think what will be really fun is that every guest is going to bring something different. And everybody has different tastes in terms of what they like the shows to be. Some of these shows will be some of my favorite shows. Some of them will be favorites of the guests. Some of them might be your favorites. And that might mean that we're covering a musical that I don't really care for. I'm looking at you, Mamma Mia. But it's one of the longest running shows in Broadway history, so who am I to say that people aren't connecting to it? So we'll look at it and we'll at least come up with a hypothesis as to why people connect to this show and why it's bringing them joy. So I want to hear from you. If you have an idea for a show that you would want us to cover, just email us at amusicalpodcast@gmail.com, or you can always contact us on Twitter at a musical podcast. I'm excited to hear your thoughts. Tell me what show you want us to cover, and then you have to give me a good reason. It can't just be, maybe it can just be, I did this show in my community theater and I want to hear what you guys have to say about it. If that's it, just be honest. I want to hear your reasonings why. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe to the podcast whenever you can, and share it with your friends. Because at the end of the day, you're another day older. No, at the end of the day, I want this to be a community where people can come and celebrate this art form in a way that maybe doesn't get explored as much. So please call me Jeff and bring along your show albums, because we're about to get turned up. No, that's terrible. So please call me Jeff and get ready, because a musical theater podcast is starting now.
¿Hablas español?
Sprichst du Deutsch?
Kann du Norsk?
If you used Babbel, you would. Babbel's conversation-based techniques teaches you useful words and phrases to get you speaking quickly about the things you actually talk about in the real world, with lessons handcrafted by over 200 language experts and voiced by real native speakers. Babbel is like having a private tutor in your pocket. Start speaking with Babbel today. Get up to 55% off your Babbel subscription right now at babbel.com/Spotify. Spelled BABBEL.com/Spotify. Rules and restrictions may apply.